Hey, Dan Sissick here, and it is Saturday, June 27th. I've been back a week now. I hopefully will be having my friend and accountability partner, Donna, joining us. Hopefully, I'm hoping here soon. If not, no problem, no issue. Um, so today, I've been back for a week now, and as I posted on this Hangout, I'm going to be covering a little bit of my missions trip recap and a couple things I took away from it. And because on this mission trip, it was weird. I wanted to go on this mission trip because one, um, I have a heart for them. Ever since my first one, I've kind of been hooked on them now. This is my third one, as I've talked about and posted about and blogged about before. Um, so with that, it was interesting. The first trip I went on, we had a decent sized group. Where I went to orphanage in Tijuana, Tecate, in that area, right on the Mexican border. Did a lot of hard work there. Learned how to mix cement in the ground and and pour that. And we did that for a foundation there for a big house that we were working on to help build for the orphanage for boys that were going to be living in there. Then on the trip I went with last year, we had a huge group where we basically had enough for almost two teams, people to work on the roof that we were helping to repair and replace on one half of the roof where it got damaged and wind blown and rain and stuff, and time had just kind of eroded on it. You could see the rust and some of the holes and stuff in it. And we also had, but we also did VBS, Vacation Bible School, and stuff. So we also went out to the community and did stuff there and did that. So, and that's the trip where I really connected with a whole group of boys and 2, 3 in general. And that's what kind of solidified for me why I like going on missions trip. This one, I was kind of going down with the hope and the expectation that it would be similar, the same. I was hoping that we'd have a nice, good group again, big group that where we could really go and really make an impact. But I think I learned out of this trip that size or the number of teams or the number of people on the team or what who's there. I think it's the quantity and the quality of the quantity that you have. So if you have a big group, you can get great results that way, like we did last year with getting things done and really having enough to accomplish and do what we wanted to do. Or if you have a small group, you just learn to better plan and set things out to where you can work towards what your goal is to accomplish, and you have to kind of task it out a little better, but it kind of forces you into it being more of a all hands on deck. All people kind of have to jump in, do, help, train, show, guide, lead, follow. And the other part of this trip was I was wanting to go down and get a little time away for me to disconnect from everything I'm doing and really get into where I'm going and what I'm wanting to do and where I'm looking towards going with my business. I haven't lost my focus. I haven't lost my dream. I haven't lost anything. I'm just trying to reassess and see steps and things I might want to take. And a key thing that kind of really just kind of we got to go to the private beach that I talked about down there, which I love that beach, and I've posted some pictures on my personal page with it. And it's not, like I said, it's not the big, most beautiful, like white beaches of Hawaii or the beautiful that everybody talk about, but there's something about that beach that I just love because it's not crowded. It's not overrun by everybody. It's not, and it's weird. You have to go down these steps that are kind of carved out of the side of the cliff to get down there. And it's probably not the best way to go down, but it works. And, and you can get down. And so I went down and walked along a big, long stretch. And I actually just shot a bunch of little videos. And basically I was watching just the birds, the seagulls mainly, and the kingfishers that I saw out there. And it was kind of interesting to watch both different sets of birds as they flew around, did their thing, did whatever. I was amazed by how close the seagulls seemed to fly around me. They at one point I had like 5 or 6 that just literally, oh, maybe 10 or 15 feet above me. Just literally, I wish I would have had my video, my cell phone going and gotten a picture of that. That was just kind of awesome that they flew just right over me. It was like, I don't think I've ever really seen a bunch or a group of birds fly over that close to me, and to where I could really see the dynamics of that V shape and how they were doing it. Because you see them flying in big groups when they migrate and stuff, and a lot of times it's in that V shape. And I understand what that's for, is to help break the headwinds and stuff and give them a better flight pattern to go. But then in the single ones, were the 2 or 3 where I saw they also did the same thing like you see with the airplanes. One would fly a little ahead, the other one would be, and that was interesting to watch. And they just stayed right in that formation. But the thing that really was cool, the one time I watched this one seagull, and it literally just was gliding. I mean, I don't think it flapped its wings once for a good, oh, I don't even know how long. It was doing it just down the edge of the cliff, and it just went on past me, and it was just riding the wind, just letting the wind carry it along. And it was interesting how it seemed to be resting and not fighting with the wind, but using the power of what was going on with it to just carry it where it wanted to go. And I think that was a great little analogy for me with life sometimes. Life sometimes, I think, we're so caught up in the everything that we got to go to here, go there, go this, do that, do the other thing. And sometimes, like I did in going down on this missions trip, when I did get that little bit of time where we all went down there, but I kind of just went off by myself and did that little time for my introspection and just pulling back and seeing that sometimes it's in the letting go, and it's sometimes in not fighting everything, but just letting it carry you where you need, where you're going, because God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, knows where you're headed, and it's part of that overall plan. But sometimes we get so caught up that we forget to kind of let loose and just go with it. And I think that's sometimes what I do sometimes, is I just say, I got to do this. I got to go take care of that. I got to, you know. And I was also looking at some areas and avenues of things I'm involved with and what I'm doing. And if those things are really value benefit to me, and if I want to continue doing that, so I might be able to pull back and focus more on what I'm doing with my business. So that was the other thing I'm really trying to tune all those things that are going on with where I'm at with my business and where I'm at with where I'm going. So yeah, it was interesting that in being down there, a few things came out. The other thing I noticed was watching the kingfishers, how they would kind of go out over the ocean and they'd fly around, circle around, and looking for fish is what they were doing. They were looking for fish to dive and scoop up and get so they could eat. But it was interesting how 2 or 3 of them might be circling in there, and as they can see, I don't know how high they were above the water, but they kind of skim down low over it, scope out things, and then fly up higher and set their target, I think, and kind of gauge where it was heading, so they could kind of gauge and come in and see what it was doing. And then they dive bomb, and literally they just kind of fold their wings in and just dive bomb into the ocean and get their catch if they timed it right. And I think sometimes that's what we need to do with our business, is not be so spread out with other things that are parts of the business and need to be done, but maybe, like I hear a lot, focus on 1 or 2 things that are the things that you need to do for building your business. And yes, I've been involved in doing this for 3 years, but I haven't found that one thing that I think I've found one, but I keep hearing some new things, and now I just joined Periscope. I haven't done my first thing yet. I got to get in and play with that. Um, but me, like I like doing the video blog posts. I like doing the hangouts. So in that, I think that might be a good thing, a good um, app and thing to better use for me and my business. So it's going to be in my best interest, I think, to really look at this and see where it can fit into what I'm doing, because I've heard a lot of people are now using it. It's becoming a very, I don't want to say prominent social app yet. I think it's going to be there. I think it's going to be along lines like maybe Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. At some point, I think that's kind of where it's going to be, because um, videos and short, quick, viral videos seem to be what captures people. And I'm not the greatest at doing short, quick, viral videos. I'm sporty, I'm speaky, I say a lot, I talk with my hands. Um, so in that, but I know I can learn it. I know I can deal with it. So Donna has not come on. So I wonder if she's busy. She might have lost track of her time. I know she's busy with some changes that have happened in her life. Um, so I'm trying to help keep her on point and going and stuff like that, just like she does with me. Um, but in still watching those birds, I really think I got a few key things for me to keep in mind for with me and my business. And then the one thing I got from my trip overall is in God, my belief in God and all that, and how I look at how the universe works. But the universe, supreme intelligence, infinite being, whatever you want to call it, um, I realized that on this trip, when we were originally gone and we were told that we were going to be doing foundation work to help for an all-purpose room, I was thinking more on the lines of the type of church that we went to before, which was a good-sized church. Um, and this church was very small. And then even the area they used for the kids, for dealing with the kids in that area, was even smaller. And so it's kind of a little, even while we were there, our pastor's wife, she went with us. She even said that um, it was a little smaller group than what she had ever seen him dealt with. So it was interesting on that end. But we dealt with it. We did puppets, and we did little shows and watched videos and interacted with the kids. Did some, playing around with them and stuff. But the team we only had 10 members on this trip. And I really thought it was going to take a lot more. And then the other funny thing was, when we got down there, the coordinator of the Go To Missions Mexico, which is the base we stayed at, and sends teams out to the different churches there, and they now have about 150 churches they deal with, kind of made the comment that we weren't spring chickens. And to put this in perspective, we had 2 teenage boys. One was 16, the other 14. We had a young girl that was not quite 30. And then the rest of us were pretty much all over 50. Also, we had 3 men and the 2 teenage boys. And we had 5 women. So it was a, when you first think of that, and you're thinking we're going to come down and help do a foundation for all-purpose room. That meant, we mixed cement. That meant we, carried rocks over. We dug trenches. I learned how to tie off rebar. That was hard work in and of itself. And we did 8 columns as the standing posts for what would get filled with cement and placed around for when they built the brick wall and laid the brick walls to encompass the all-purpose room. So, but I learned one thing, that one, don't call a bunch of I don't want to say older, because I don't necessarily want to mature, I guess. I don't know how to say it because, um, but don't necessarily tell us we're not spring chickens, because I think that was kind of our motivating thing for all of us. We got in, the women got in, helped just as much as the men. They did just as much as us, and but it was really interesting to see how, had we had more people involved in that or down there, it could have been overrun. It may have given more opportunity to go out, but we had people go out and canvass and invite people, but it was a different dynamic than what we had last year. And even then, it was a smaller community, smaller area. So that's why I think, in overall looking back at this, the size was perfect. Whether we realized it or not, when we first went down, we were thinking we're looking 10 of us, and then, I think we all were kind of thinking that way. But it was just amazing to see. Yes, we got all the uh, trenches dug. We got all the rocks put in the trenches to help cover over with cement to help make it so they didn't have to buy as much cement to mix up and stuff, but yet that it would stretch and go as far as it could go. Um, Now, one nice thing though this year was we had a cement mixer. We didn't have to mix it up in the sand or on the ground and in a volcano shape and adding, oh, that backbreaking. We still worked hard. I was tired every day after doing the work. Um, but once again, like on all the trips, it was hard work. It was meaningful work, and there was purpose in it. And I realized that there's a difference in how I perceive it and what I do with it and how I look at it. When I'm there and stuff and I did that hard work, I went home with, or back to the base and even home now, I went with such a feeling of purpose, that there was a real reason behind what I was doing, that it was making an impact. And I could see the impact that this will have for this small community and this small church. It's only been there 2 years, so it's got a lot of room for growth. I believe it will grow. I believe that what we've done there is just planning to help for that growth. I hope we can go back and maybe just see where there are maybe a couple years to see how what we did now will impact then. And in coming back, I'm looking, and as I went through this uh, week of work and getting back into my routine, my grind, my stuff, I realized that I don't come home with that same feeling from my job as I did from there. And I realized that in essence, I do like my work. I love what I do, but it's not the passion. It's not the purpose. It's not. And I've finally have seen in my head and gotten it now to where it translates to my heart, the difference in when I go to work day in and day out, the 9 to 5 grind, the stuff, and why it drains me so much is when I went down there and I felt the purpose, I felt the passion, and that's what I now see as what's driving me with my business: the passion, the desire, the want, the impact I know I will have in helping people free themselves to do what their dreams are, what their passions, what their purpose is, and that's what I got out of this trip, and that's been where I know now to move forward. And I think it's the game changer for me in another big essence. I've had many breakthroughs over the last 2 or 3 years, and I've learned one thing: success, definitely. Some people might say for some people is meteoric or overnight, but they don't realize sometimes the long struggle and the dream of working to get to that point where all of a sudden somebody might have that breakthrough that gets them, and then all of a sudden from that breakthrough to where they get that meteoric rise, that they say it's overnight. But people don't really realize that for a long time they work towards it to set them up to be at that point. I understand that a little better now, and understand that that's where the true part of it comes in, is that keeping going. And as I watched the waves keep coming in and keep coming in and keep coming in, they had hurricane, I can't remember the name of it, that came by, probably was just coming through, finishing up, coming through and going by as we were heading down Saturday the 13th. And with that, and I'm looking at the coastline, looking at seeing how it's jagged and, here and from time and waves and elements and stuff constantly pushing against it, and the water constantly coming and pushing up against it. But the thing is, the water keeps coming. Yes, you see the waves come in, roll up against it. Sometimes they're big crashing waves. Big storms come through or hurricanes come through, have more power, more strength, can push harder against the cliffs and rock. And other times it's just that constant, slow moving, rolling wave moving in, just each time taking a little part and pulling it back out as it recedes back into the ocean. And that is the other key thing that really embedded in me even more now. I've heard it, I've seen it and talked about it. Mentors, people I follow, the essence of not giving up, not quitting, not stopping. I saw it played out in looking at the cliffs and watching the waves roll in. They just keep coming. They keep coming. They don't know to stop. They don't know to give up. They don't know, it's just part of how the earth was created and how it was built and how it was, because the earth is a living organism. So that's just how it goes. So with that, that's the other thing I learned today, in that if I stop, how do I know that maybe that one last time where I reach up and claw away or break away or get something, that's not going to be the breakthrough point. I've talked about it before. I've blogged about it before. I've spoken on it, but I don't think it really fully even resonated till this past trip. It really sunk in that it just keeps going. It just keeps going. It's never ending. It ebbs, it flows. It's strong. It's powerful. It crashes through. And other times it just still keeps pushing along, plodding along, just keeps working at it. And that's what I need to do. That's what you need to do. That's what we all need to do in all aspects of our lives, actually. But with this, it also just adds to that at some point it will crumble, it will fall, it will go by the wayside, it will open up more, it will give you more ground. You may have to still keep going and keep reaching it, but eventually it's going to smooth out. It's going to get to a point where you can break through and rush through, just like water in the mountains when it's coming down the mountain. It keeps going and keeps winding around and stuff and exits path, and eventually it's a stream, and eventually then it becomes a river, and then it becomes so on that. So I don't think Donna's going to join us. It's going on about 11, but that's just me talking today a little bit about the recap of my missions trip, and gotta love being down there. It's such a different way of life down there, and it's where I tend to now, as I go on these mission trips, is also where I kind of just take time out to deplug, unplug, take a new senses where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I think it's also a time of rejuvenation. I think we all need those little times where we just kind of take that time to reassess and relook and redo. I think once again we get so busy in our day-to-day lives of where we're going, what we're doing, rushing to this, rushing to that, rushing to this other thing. We've got so many things on our phones and so many things reminding us, oh, we have this going on and we have that going on. In fact, I got an email about going and hanging out with a friend. Hang on. Donna's just messaged me. Let's see if she might maybe try and get on. Yeah. Okay, we'll see if she said something. Actually, I'm also responding to somebody else who wants to get an idea and see a little bit more of what I do for my business personally. Sorry about the interruptions, but I think she's going to try and get on, so that's good. Sorry. This is important to me. I really like to get her on here because she's been having some struggles of her own. And I think to actively engage her, it would be helpful. Hopefully she gets on. So I'll keep talking there for a couple minutes and hopefully see what she says. Sorry about that. Part of normal life, part of everyday life. You set something up with somebody, tell them, okay, I'm going to be on and everything. I told her about what time. I sent her the hangout invite. I sent her the invite to be on here. So, hopefully she gets on. I hope. Oh, who's sending me what? Okay. So getting back, sorry about now my brain's thinking about her and all the things and maybe getting some of her feedback. There's Donna.
I'm here. How are you?
I'm good. Jeez, I've been rambling on for like 53 minutes. I'm going, where is she? I'm like going, I told people I'm like, I sent her the link and everything. So maybe she's in the middle still of whatever she's doing. And then all of a sudden I look down, I see the message from you. It's like, there she is. So I've been talking a little bit about, as you can see from the title, the recap of my missions trip and some of the things that I learned and gleaned out of it for me personally, for like dealing with my business and stuff and things like that. And it was really interesting how that things worked out on this trip. So
Uh-huh.
I will give you hopefully a fast damn version. if there is
Well,
if there is a fast damn version, as you know me, I tend to go on forever and ever.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, just go ahead and finish what you were doing, and we'll talk about what you already said later.
okay. Well, basically, I was kind of getting ready to finish up and everything. So,
Oh,
um, uh, but I was just basically covering the ideas of, um, for me, it was realizing that sometimes you don't need big groups for doing a missions project, as we only had 10 people for this one. We had
uh-huh.
five guys, 3 men, 2 teenage boys, and then 5 women. And but yet the 2 boys were 14 and 16. The one young gal was, I'm not going to say her age, so if she doesn't get mad at me, if she ever comes across this, but
Hmm.
uh, in her 20s,
Uh-huh.
and then the rest of us were basically over 50, and we were doing foundation work for a all-purpose room that they were wanting to build. So, and unless you can say there was a lot of extreme hard work to do, mixing cement, making cement, pouring cement, putting rocks in the trenches, digging trenches, tying off rebar, holding up the stuff, filling in, and then we laid some bricks around for like the first couple levels and stuff. So we did a lot of hard work for us, not so spring chickens as one of the people commented when we were down there. So I think that kind of got us all like, what? We're not old. We can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, nonetheless, to say it was very filling, very purposeful. And it was interesting how, and this is the one thing I think I got out of it, was I had a very different hang on, somebody else I think sent me a message. Okay, I'll respond back to him in a couple of minutes. But in that, what was I just saying? Oh, my brain just totally jumped the track. I was talking about 10 people about not being spring chickens, about oh well, it'll come back to me in a minute. see,
I'm paying attention too, and my mind's blank.
Oh God, Saturdays, the day to fall apart.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember now about the purpose in how when I went down there after that, doing that hard work and dealing with that, and then of course dealing with kids and stuff and everything like that, and so between working hard in the morning and putting out a lot of energy and then energy with kids and stuff, but when I would go back, I really felt a sense of purpose and meaning in what I was doing, and like they said, I fundraised the $500 to pay to go to do this.
Uh-huh.
I in essence paid to go and do hard work to
Right.
go do something for somebody, which meant a lot to me, and I got a lot of purpose out of it. And then I came back this week and getting into my routine at work, and then when I come home and I'm dead drained, and I don't have that same feeling I had as I had there.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that the work isn't as purposeful, but to me it doesn't carry the same weight. So therefore
Right.
I don't get that. I haven't gotten that same sense of what I did when I was there. And I think that's one of the key things I learned is like, here I'm working to pay the bills and take care of the bills in essence.
Mm-hmm.
And to live so I can continue to live in my home and stuff. But the passion, the purpose, what I get out of it is really not the same as what I get out of when I went and do that. And that's part of my passion, part of my purpose, part of what I love to do outside of growing my business and what I want to do with my business. And that finally, I think, really, really clicked even after 3 years of being involved in building my business. And the other thing I learned out of this is that, you hear some people, have that meteoric rise where they jump in, get things going, and somehow they get somewhere right away. But a lot of times we don't understand that there's a real long backstory most of the time, even to that meteoric rise, whereas others, they just constantly are always building and growing and get there, but it just seems to be longer and not that all of a sudden you're here and then you're there, that type of thing.
Right.
And I think that's more where I'm at. And I was talking about watching the waves and how the waves really kind of watching the waves come in and just keep hitting and going against the rocks and the cliffs, because the beach there's a cliff, and then you go down the side of the cliff through some carved out stairs to get to the beach. But yet it took the ocean time and all those years and thousands of years of hitting against it, eroding and breaking away. But the way the earth is built and made, and it's a living organism, so it is still constantly changing. As you can see, it doesn't know to stop hitting against the rocks and keep going at it. Sometimes it's a big storm, and there's like just before I went down there was that hurricane that passed down there, and we caught the tail end of it, and then it went on. but the waves were coming in, and we saw some good sized waves hitting against the shore. But then other times it's just regular waves that's coming in and out, receding in and out, and it doesn't know to stop.
Right.
And I think that's what part of our problem, our issue is. We forget to see that constant action, that constant doing, that constant moving forward will ultimately break through, and then it'll open up to another, and you may have another obstacle in front of you, but if you keep working at it, you will eventually break through and get to where you want to get. It's just if you stop, you never get there.
Right.
And that's, I think, what really, and just taking a walk along the beach, a couple times we did get to the beach down there, that is the private beach there. And I took videos of it, and I didn't even say anything in any of the videos except one. I was watching the birds and seeing how they kind of interact, and I was talking about them and stuff. So those are some of the things I came out of that. You don't have to have a big group or team to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can have a big group and team like we did last year. We had like 28 of us, I think, went, or 25 of us. This year we only had 10, but we still accomplished what we went down and set out to do and what we wanted to do. So I think that also goes in line with building your business. You can have a big team and have a lot of stuff going on, but you can also have a small team and still have a lot of stuff going on. It's just how you focus, what you do with it, and how you build that up and build them up and work with that and keep the main goal of helping the people, not the end results, but helping them to get their results. And I think that's what I got out of going on this missions trip, because I was really doing a lot of looking in and looking at where I'm at and what I'm doing, and what I can do and where I can make changes. And just sitting there watching nature is what I think taught me a lot. And the aspect of having a small team get in and work on this hard foundation project, and that we all got in and just did it. Everybody worked. The women worked just as hard as the men. It was no, you can't do this or you're not able. We just did it. That type of thing. We didn't point out. We all kind of found each other's strengths, and but if a job needed to be done, it got done. So, like I said, it was a good trip. Not what I was expecting based on what I did last year, and even when I came back, I was still trying to figure out what my purpose was on this trip. I think a week later now, I finally have kind of pulled that out of it in retrospect, and seeing where I'm at, having gone through this week of being back at work. And I'm like, okay, now I'm just back to the same old dull, same old whatever, and realizing I don't have that same feeling I did as when I was down there, and felt that there was a purpose and an impact.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts or anything you think or feel? Or
it's funny that you realized that, because that's what I realized this past week when I started my new job, because nursing is my passion, and it's made a difference in what I've done this week. So I've enjoyed it and felt like I helped people. So I need to find what I'm doing wrong with the Empower, that I can move forward and help people in that direction too, and still have the same passion for it as I do for nursing.
And I think you can. I think you really can. I think you just need to maybe focus a little bit maybe on what you're doing with the nursing and how it is helping, but how it parlays into building a business too.
Mm-hmm.
That might be how you might look at it and go at it and talk about it and use that. I also talked about, I just put the Periscope app on my phone.
Uh-huh.
So, because everybody's been talking about Periscope, and so I'm going to try it, and I'll probably do a training on it when I get a free moment.
I haven't, I don't think I've heard of it.
In fact, Mike Hobbs even tweeted about him just getting out doing, and he was doing a live training on Periscope.
Oh.
So, I thought that was interesting and stuff. So I'm like, okay, if he's saying something about it, and I've seen some other leaders talk about it. I'm like, okay, I need to look at this. This is going to be another, you know,
Was that their talk on Wednesday night?
I think
Because I
so.
didn't, yeah, I didn't get to listen to that Wednesday night, so I
I didn't
missed
get
it.
to, but I did see the post about it. I'm like,
Mm.
ah, he's already on Periscope and he's already
And,
doing a hangout or a live video thing on Periscope. I'm like, oh God, okay. So
well,
um,
check it out.
I am, and I will do a training on it, so that way we can both benefit from it.
Okay.
But um, but so it's kind of interesting how we both have kind of learned something this week and gotten something out of what we've done in retrospect, and how we both have kind of seen maybe how we can use it to effectively help us with our businesses too.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
um, but
I'm glad you had a personal mission and things went well, and
oh,
I want to
it
hear more
was.
about it.
Oh, I will tell you more about it when we get off the when I stop the actual broadcast. But
Okay.
um, uh, it was funny because I really went down with a certain idea in my head of what I wanted to get out of it, and
Hmm.
then by the end of the week, I was just like, okay, what I was trying to figure out what my purpose was being as part of the team, and one of the ones that actually was a part of the team, which I believe is God driven, universe driven, however you want to look at it. For me, I believe it's God driven, but people, in the interest of not everybody believes exactly the same way I do.
Right.
So I want to understand that, you know, the universe as a whole, how it, put this team together as opposed to other people being on it. And that's what I was trying to understand and get out of it. But I think what I got out of it was what it was meant to be.
Right.
So,
Is it the
so
same place you went last year?
yes, it is.
Yes.
But not the same church. We went to a whole different church, but the same place is called Go to Missions Mexico,
Uh-huh.
and they're based there, and they facilitate groups and churches and people from wherever that find them on the internet or know about them or hear about them to go down there and do what they call short-term missions to
Hmm.
Mexico in different area in that area, and
Yeah.
they service about 150 churches down there.
Oh.
So, and they just send the teams wherever the need is brought up and where they feel the need will best be met according to the groups they have coming down.
Right.
So, so I'm looking forward to another mission trip, but I still want to go on a more in-depth um, trip, maybe like to South America or Europe or Asia or something, somewhere, even a little farther. And I've even commented on that once my business gets to where I can sustain and I can break free and not be working and I can walk away from my job. And it
Hmm.
will happen. It's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. So I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
I have full faith that it's going to happen and it will be soon. Um, that I can go on and maybe I'd like to go on maybe a 2 or 3 month mission where I can get a little more in depth and expand that impact a little longer.
Hmm.
But I already know my heart is not into doing like a 2 year or a full time or something like that. But
Yeah.
I know my heart's into it for doing it for a little longer period of time to to have a little more impact and bring a little more value and impact to it and help people. And maybe in that sense, maybe in doing that, maybe if they have abilities to have access to even limited internet access, maybe show them some of the things they could do with that to help bring additional money in for what they do even there. So with that, that's kind of where my brains and stuff going.
Hmm.
So, and then still ultimately, I still want to move to Australia.
Yeah.
I'm going to move to Australia. I'm not going to say I want to. I'm going to.
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna. I'm
Yeah.
putting that out there. So, how's you coming with where you want to be and where you're heading with your business?
It's kind of been on back foot this week because I've been so busy with the new job.
I get that. I
So
understand that.
yeah, so next week will be much easier because I've had my 2 weeks training. So next week I'll go kind of doing my own schedule. I already told them I only want work for like half the day and not the full day. So I'll still have some free time. So
Okay,
I'll get back on track.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we all have to do what we need to do to, know, do what we need to do to live, and and sounds like you're doing it. But I also hear that you're not giving up. So, but like the waves, just keep crashing at it and keep working
Yep,
it. It'll come.
it will.
So,
Yep.
okay, well, this has been not quite an hour, but I'm glad you finally got on, because I'm like, when I saw the message, like, oh wait,
Well,
it
I
was.
looked at 10:30. I don't know how I missed your invite, so I kept waiting to hear from you, and I didn't hear from you. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, I've got to get back to work. So
Oh, it's so funny because when you said, "Well, I've been sitting here and it's 10:53," and I'm like,
mhm.
and that's what's funny is when I just basically said something about the fact that you hadn't done anything, and
Uh-huh.
I said, let me see if she's, or see something, and I even said something, I hope you hear this or something. I wish you'd, come and get on, and then I look
Yeah.
at my phone and there's the instant message from you, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm telling them, excuse me a minute, I got to really take this because it's, Donna's, and maybe she can get on. And that's when I said, oh, I said, Lee, come on, get on if you can. So,
Good.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
oh, so I'm so glad that you did make it on. I really appreciate the fact that you did take the time and got on. And, I definitely want to do more of these with you. I thoroughly enjoy doing them with you. So on that end, um, we'll have to work out get back to a routine of getting started and doing and getting in some trainings and doing trainings from both of us and stuff and things like that,
Right.
and sharing with the world.
Sounds good.
Okay. Give me a minute. Let me stop the broadcast, and then maybe I'll just do a video, private one with you really quick, just to
Okay.
fill you in on what I've done.
Okay.
So let me stop the broadcast. Thanks. I'll see you in just a couple minutes.
Okay.